Well, a warning tonight about a silent killer that's probably in your kitchen cabinets right now.
That's right. Researchers say ultra-processed foods,
Ultra-processed foods, the high in fats, starches, sugars, and additives, now make up 73% of the U.S. food supply, even though they are linked to health issues like diabetes, obesity, cancer, and depression.
Junk food is the new tobacco. Junk or ultra-processed food should be sold with tobacco-style warnings. Why?
Imagine this. Cutting just one processed snack from your daily routine could deliver a powerful blow to the big food industry. For years, these giants have manipulated science to make us buy more processed foods, using tricks like those the tobacco industry used to addict smokers. Now, most of our diets are packed with these foods, and there's hardly any real oversight. What if we could expose the huge lie that's boosting their profits and harming our health? Join us to find out how deep the damage goes. How companies like Kraft twist nutrition science for decades. Big food companies like Kraft and Kellogg's have made billions by twisting food science and influencing the people who study it to favor their goals and change our eating habits. Their approach is similar to the relentless methods used by the tobacco industry, which aim to get people to smoke more frequently, making cigarettes a daily habit instead of an occasional indulgence. These large food corporations thrive on the public's confusion about what constitutes a healthy diet. They gain a significant advantage when people are uncertain about which foods are beneficial. Currently, over half of the American diet consists of ultra-processed foods, which are rarely scrutinized by health authorities or government bodies. This situation puts the food industry in a risky spot because their profits depend heavily on public perception and regulatory leniency. The vulnerability of these companies becomes evident when considering the impact of reducing just one ultra-processed snack or meal per day per consumer, which would lead to a dramatic 7% decline in sales. This potential loss underlines the precariousness of their profit margins and how dependent they are on continual consumption of their products. The influence of these food giants extends into regulatory areas as well. Every 5 years, the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee gathers to sift through new research and revise national dietary guidelines. Currently, these corporations are heavily involved in trying to sway the outcomes of these meetings. They deploy their vast financial resources and political connections to manipulate public opinion and present their products as healthier options than they truly are. Their tactics are not subtle. These companies are bold in their strategies to control how the public perceives their products. They aggressively promote their interests on all fronts, ensuring their products are seen in a positive light. Such actions help them keep a strong hold on the market. This strategic manipulation by the food industry means that less healthy food options continue to be mainstays in American diets, prioritizing corporate profits over public health. The influence exerted by these companies extends beyond advertising. They fund research that favors their products, lobby against regulations that could decrease their profits, and participate in educational campaigns that mislead the public about nutrition. In linking these patterns, it's clear that the food industry's tactics to maintain and grow their market share are deeply intertwined with shaping public and regulatory opinions. By keeping the public confused about what healthy eating truly means and influencing dietary guidelines to favor their products, these corporations ensure their unhealthy food products remain diet staples, thus securing their problems at the expense of public health. This cycle of influence and manipulation reveals a systemic issue within food regulation where corporate interests often overshadow genuine health concerns. Large food corporations extensively leverage their partnerships with celebrities and their active social media presence to make their products appear more appealing and necessary. Wide range of products, including many breakfast cereals, granola bars, protein bars, diet foods, frozen meals, various sauces, and even certain yogurts are classified as ultra-processed. These products are pervasive in the market and are associated with numerous health issues. The extensive reach of these ultra-processed foods in our diet illustrates the significant impact of corporate marketing strategies, highlighting the urgent need for consumers to understand the profound implications these foods have on public health. This understanding is vital for making informed dietary choices in an environment where misleading marketing often obscures the truth about food products. The widespread popularity of ultra-processed foods is significantly driven by the deep financial pockets and sophisticated marketing strategies of major food manufacturers. These companies deploy aggressive advertising and promotional tactics that often downplay the potential health risks associated with their products. As a result, they secure substantial profits, often at the cost of public health, a situation alarmingly reminiscent of past tactics used by tobacco companies. The repercussions of this trend on our healthcare system are profound, manifesting as escalated medical costs and a decline in the quality of life for many. The engineered taste profiles and addictive qualities of these processed foods make them irresistibly convenient, thereby fueling a continuous cycle of unhealthy eating habits and worsening health outcomes for consumers. Next, we'll see how these companies influence not just our shopping habits, but also government and research settings. The power play behind your food labels. This battle is not confined to the marketplace alone. It extends into legislative bodies and research institutions. Here, these powerful food corporations exert considerable influence to downplay the risks linked to their products. Their widespread campaigns aim to mold public policy and consumer perceptions in ways that make it challenging to shift dietary habits toward healthier choices. In this context, being informed and aware is more crucial than ever. Understanding the nature and effects of ultra-processed foods is the first step toward making healthier dietary choices. Real challenge lies in shifting consumer demand away from these convenient but unhealthy options and towards a diet that values health more than profit. This change requires a significant transformation in how food is perceived at the consumer level. As public awareness increases, there is a slow but noticeable shift in the dynamics of food production and consumption toward healthier alternatives. This change is vital as it underscores the troubling link between common additives like salt and serious health issues such as heart disease. Investigations into why salt continues to be heavily used by major food producers, despite its known health risks, have revealed deeply entrenched practices within the food industry. These practices are motivated by the goal to enhance flavors inexpensively, regardless of the toll on health. By becoming more knowledgeable about these issues, consumers can begin to exert pressure on food companies, prompting them to rethink their recipes and focus more on health benefits rather than merely on taste and cost. This growing consumer demand for healthier options has the potential to drive significant improvements in the quality of foods available, ultimately leading to better health outcomes for the population at large. Such transformations in consumer awareness and behavior can gradually tilt the balance, potentially marking a public health victory over corporate greed. This movement towards healthier food choices not only benefits individual health, but also reduces the overall strain on healthcare systems, creating a healthier society driven by informed choices rather than deceptive marketing practices. Kellogg's, a well-known company, chose to showcase how they manufacture their food, an event that was covered in detail by Michael Moss in his book Hooked. In this book, Moss delves into the ways large corporations exploit our cravings for certain foods. During a visit to Kellogg's facilities, Moss observed a demonstration involving cornflakes, a staple breakfast food known to contain salt. However, for this demonstration, Kellogg's used a salt-free version of the flakes. The taste test of these unsalted flakes led to an immediate and dramatic reaction from those present. The chief spokeswoman for Kellogg's, who participated in the tasting, was so shocked by the flavor that she spat it out and exclaimed, "Metal! This tastes like metal!" The taste was so unusual that it felt as though a metal dental filling might have come loose. Also present was the chief technical officer responsible for the product's scientific development. He attempted to diffuse the tension with a laugh, explaining that not everyone might notice, but a significant benefit of using salt in their products is its ability to mask other, less pleasant flavors that emerge during the manufacturing process. This incident highlights how companies like Kellogg's depend on salt, not only to enhance flavor, but also to cover up other undesirable tastes that are a byproduct of how their foods are processed. It underscores the complex balance these companies must maintain. They must produce food that tastes appealing enough for repeat purchases, even if it requires incorporating unhealthy amounts of salt. Furthermore, this scenario sheds light on a broader practice within the food industry, where ingredients like salt are used for dual purposes. On one hand, salt boosts flavor, making food more enjoyable. On the other, it plays a crucial but less discussed role in concealing unfavorable flavors that might otherwise deter consumers. These flavors, often a result of industrial food processing techniques, might be off-putting to the public, if not masked. Food manufacturers often use high levels of salt to enhance the appeal of their products, placing taste and visual allure above health considerations. This candid conversation revealed the complex balancing act food companies must perform. They need to manage both health concerns and consumer taste preferences, often prioritizing the latter to maintain sales and market appeal. Moreover, this encounter with Kellogg's opened up a broader perspective on industry trends, where ingredients are strategically used not just for flavor enhancement, but also to engineer specific taste experiences, sometimes at the expense of consumer health. This reveals the significant influence that large food companies wield over public perceptions of how food should taste, and the extremes to which they will go to ensure their products remain desirable. This ongoing conflict between enhancing flavors and maintaining nutritional integrity doesn't just affect what products are available in the market, it also deeply influences our dietary habits, often without us fully understanding the implications of what we consume. Now we'll explore how ingredients like salt are used in the food industry to both enhance flavors and hide unwanted tastes. Who's paying for our food facts? An examination of how nutritional studies are financed reveals a concerning pattern. A large proportion of the research funded by the food industry typically produces results that are favorable to the sponsor. In fact, almost 60% of these studies end up with conclusions that benefit the companies that provide the funding. On the other hand, only a small fraction, about 3% of these studies, report findings that could be viewed as detrimental to the sponsor's interests. Ideally, bodies like the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee should navigate through this biased information and offer clear, neutral scientific guidance that helps the public make informed decisions about their diets. However, the situation is complicated by the fact that nearly half of the committee members have connections to the food, pharmaceutical, or weight loss sectors, which may skew their ability to provide unbiased advice. This deep-seated unwillingness within the food industry to support dietary guidelines that advocate for a reduction in the consumption of their products is a long-standing problem. The roots of this issue stretch back to previous decades. Historically, several major food corporations were under the ownership of tobacco companies, which were well known for their deceptive marketing practices. For example, Philip Morris owned prominent food manufacturers Kraft and General Foods, and Richard Joshua Reynolds was the owner of Nabisco before being acquired by Philip Morris as well. This historical connection is critical to understand because it sheds light on the likelihood that modern food companies might employ similar strategies to downplay the health risks of their products. Understanding this background is vital as it illustrates how these past influences shape current practices within the food industry. Companies that were once part of the tobacco industry may carry forward tactics that prioritize marketing and profit over health, potentially misleading consumers about the true impact of their products on health. The continued influence of these practices shows the need for stricter oversight and more transparent research practices in the nutritional science field. By addressing these issues, we can work towards more reliable dietary guidelines that truly consider the health of the public, rather than catering to corporate interests. This change is essential for shifting public policy towards better health outcomes and ensuring that consumers are not misled by biased research funded by those with vested interests in the sale of potentially harmful products. As we delve deeper, we must examine the practices of these influential companies more closely. The issue at hand is whether food companies, some of which were historically linked to the tobacco industry, have adopted similar tactics in their food production. These tactics could include strategies for hiding the health risks of their food products, or even deliberately making these foods addictively pleasing. Tara Fazzino, an assistant professor of psychology at the University of Kansas, has delved into research on what is known as hyperpalatable foods. These are foods engineered to combine nutrients in ways that do not naturally occur, creating flavors and textures that are extraordinarily satisfying and hard to stop eating. The moral mess in our grocery carts. The journalist Michael Moss discusses a particularly telling interaction with Steve Parrish, who was once a lawyer for the tobacco company Philip Morris. Parrish shared that although he could manage to smoke only one cigarette each day without feeling the urge to smoke more, he couldn't say the same for Oreo cookies, a snack produced by a company associated with his firm. He admitted that if he started eating the cookies, he might end up eating half the bag in one go. This admission is quite revealing, as it underscores a known but seldom acknowledged fact within the food industry. Those who are part of the industry know just how addictive these food items are designed to be. Interestingly, many of those who are aware of this avoid eating these products themselves, despite the fact that tobacco companies have largely pulled out of the food business since the early 2000s. The influence they left behind is profound. Their methods of making food products irresistibly tasty have persisted. By the year 2018, foods that are extremely tempting and hard to stop eating, known as hyperpalatable foods, made up almost 69% of what is available in the market, a significant increase from about 50% in 1988. Seeing the success of these addictive strategies employed by tobacco-related companies, other food companies that were not originally the biggest ones, that were not originally linked to tobacco, started altering their own recipes. They began adding more of the ingredients that would make their foods more addictive, aiming to boost their sales and capture more of the market. In the perspective of studying addiction, there's a common but unfair tendency to blame individuals for their eating habits. Often people are told that if they eat an entire package of Oreos, it's simply because they lack self-control. This perspective benefits food manufacturers because it shifts the blame away from the fact that these products are intentionally designed to be overconsumed, which in turn maximizes profits for these companies. The Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee, which plays a critical role in shaping the advice that the federal government offers to the public about the health effects of ultra-processed foods, encounters considerable obstacles in this effort. They face intense pressure from powerful industry lobbyists, including groups like the Food and Beverage Issue Alliance, which counts among its members organizations such as the Sugar Association and the American Beverage Association. These groups have been pushing to postpone the classification of foods as ultra-processed until there is a universally accepted scientific definition. This delay benefits the food industry by allowing continued ambiguity about what constitutes ultra-processed food, thereby making it harder for consumers to identify and avoid such products. The general public has a legitimate expectation to receive reliable scientific information and dietary recommendations that are grounded in evidence rather than biased by the interests of the food industry. This is a pivotal moment for addressing the significant influence that food manufacturers exert over public health guidelines. Historically, there is a well-documented pattern of industries manipulating scientific research to serve their interests. For example, it took nearly half a century from the initial scientific studies linking smoking with cancer in 1950 for tobacco companies to acknowledge the detrimental effects of their products and stop their deceptive advertising practices in 1998. If decisive actions are not undertaken soon to address the manipulation of nutritional science by the food industry, it could take decades before meaningful changes are made to public health policies, perhaps not until 2029. This delay could prevent necessary revisions that would prioritize the health of the public over the profits of the food industry. Therefore, it is crucial to act quickly to ensure that public health guidelines are designed with the best interests of the population in mind, rather than being shaped by the financial goals of powerful corporations. We need to foster an environment where healthier choices are promoted and where consumers are not misled by biased information. Taking these steps will not only help mitigate the current influence of food corporations on dietary advice, but will also ensure a healthier future for everyone, reducing the burden of diet-related diseases and improving overall public health outcomes. Are food companies intentionally designing addictive products similar to tactics used by the tobacco industry to compromise our health for profit? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights.